Hello, welcome back to the next episode in our interactions bite-sized tutorials. This episode I'm going to show how you can actually have an interactive item that has more than one interaction, and by that what I mean is buttons on a keypad. So rather than go into too much detail, we'll talk about it as we go along, so keep the episode flowing. If you go to Window Fab, wait for that to quickly load, type in the search keypad, press enter, come across to price up here and click only show free products. This is so that you can all follow along with the same one. This is the one I've got, to CC0 keypad door. You can click on that to show you, and it's a basic keypad, nothing too special about it, but it looks pretty cool. Yeah, it looks like a sort of like a 70s style keypad, doesn't it? Right, so I've already got it saved in my library. I'm going to add it to my project. You do the same. It's a Creative Commons attribute 0, so that means it's free for you to use with attribution. So that's now, I believed, in my project. Didn't see anything happen. Let's have a look. Content drawer, Fab. Has it not come in? Did it not work? Viewing library. Let's try this. Add to project that way. There we go. Downloading keypad, and it popped up a window on another monitor. And that's it there. It's in our Fab folder as normal. So once you've got that, you can close down. Right, let's have a look at our object. As you know, some of these can be a little bit suspect when just using them directly in. So we've got a material, static meshes and textures. So everything seems to be there. Okay, static meshes, that's what we want. Let's bring this in and we'll put it right in the middle of our door here. Let's get a little bit closer. Yeah, that looks all right. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so let's just delete that out because I don't want that there. Just delete, and we'll go in here and we'll double click on this so it opens in the mesh viewer. If you scroll the middle wheel in, we can't go too close. I got my sensitivity up too high again. Let's bring this down about half. There we go. Right, so we've got our keypad, a couple of little lights. One thing I will point out, these lights do not work, and this one looks lit, and at some point, maybe not in this episode, I can show you how to change that with a little bit of modifications, not much. But what we want to concentrate on is these 12 buttons. The star and the hash, I'm not sure what we'll do with those. Possibly use one of them as a clear. You could use one as an OK and one as a clear, but means you'll have to start changing the textures and that if you want to override what's on these. But yeah, it doesn't matter for now. We're not going that deep into it. We're just going to show you how it's getting working. So what we want to do is come to this little eyeball, click down on that, and we want to show our simple collisions. And as you can see, it's still scrolling very fast, isn't it? Let's hold the right mouse button and slow this right down by rolling back. Let's try that. There we go. As you can see, it comes out and encapsulates the buttons, which is fine. I'm not going to bother changing. I'm not going to go that detailed into it, but what we're going to remember is what we're going to be doing is having separate collisions on each of these buttons, but we must make sure that they stick out a little bit further than the default collision that's on the object. So object looks okay. I don't really want to mess about it. You could at some point separate these buttons out so you can animate each button pressing, or they light up or something, but that's not what this tutorial is about. Maybe I could go into that a bit later on if anyone's interested, but not for now. So if we close the tab on that, let's come back out and we're going to create a new object. So we want to come into our content drawer and into our actors sector, and we want to get an interact actor. So we want to right click on this, create child blueprint class. I'm going to call this BP door keypad. Oh, don't like all those capitals. Door keypad, and I'll call it 01. So there we have it. I'm going to throw that into my interactables, and I'm going to, oh, did I not do it? No, I didn't. I forgot to hit the move. There we go. And in here, and I'm going to put it into the door section, as that's what it actually is for. You can put it wherever you like, it matters not, just know where it is. So we have our door keypad. Let's double click that, open it up, and get to work. I'm not going to bother deleting the default scene route. You can if you want to, it really doesn't matter, but I'm just going to add it in over that anyway. So content drawer, come down to our fab keypad, blah blah blah, all the way down to static meshes, and just highlight it. Then click the add button up here and choose a static mesh, and it should have the name of the keypad there already. And there we go. Now it's actually facing the wrong way, so we need to flip this round to face on the X, because it's kind of a standard to actually show this on the X advert. So we're going to rotate this around 90 degrees around the Y, and I just did location, which I didn't mean to do. What am I doing? Undo that, and undo is not working for some reason. Right, do it again. Rotation, not location. 90 degrees. Right, wrong way, so it's minus 90. There we go. Okay, so that's now facing the correct way. I'm just going to hit the pole, no, it doesn't matter. Right, so we now have this, and we know that we have a collision that sticks out just a little bit more than those buttons. So what we want to do is create several collision objects that stick out just slightly further than our object collision. So to do this, we're going to go add, and we want to find a collision object, and we want a cube, so we want a collision box. Okay, I'm going to call this num1. Okay, and as you can see here, it is, it's rather large, as you can see. So we want to scale this down, so we're going to bring this scale initially by let's lock the scale for now, and we want to change that to 0.1. okay, let's bring it sort of into let's try, trying to grab the green to move it along the Y there, and then bring it on the X. As you can see, it's way too big again, and it's probably another, so we'll try 0.01. Now that's too small. Okay, so maybe it was about a third of the size. I don't know, 0.03. Oh, 0.03. Sorry, that's a bit closer, but we now can line this up with our number. So it's a little bit too big. So maybe it was about a quarter, so 0.025. And I've done it again, 0.025. Not pressing the 0. There we go. That's darn close, if I say so myself. Right. That looks like it's pretty much in line as well, so I'm not going to do anything with that. Can we duplicate this? No, we can't duplicate it in here. So we're going to line that up roughly there as it was. Let's just bring that down a bit. No, yeah, that looks okay. So we want to duplicate this with Control D, num2, Control D, Control D, and we're going to keep doing this until we get to 12. 11, 12. There we go. And then what we're going to do, select each one and move them into the correct place. So num2. What we'll do is 2, control and 5, control and 8, control and 10, which is actually 0. We'll rename that one. The reason I've done that is now I can move these all together. And they're all, whoa, I've not seen that before. What is going on there? That's very unusual. They're moving on multiple values. Control Z that. That's unusual. Okay, we will just do it along the y-axis here instead. So I'm going to try and do this to 3 and see what happens. No, that's not enough at all, so maybe 10. They're definitely coming along the wrong axis. How strange is that? They're coming along the wrong axis. And I don't understand why. That's very unusual. It's not letting me drag them here neither, which is a shame. That is a very unusual. We're going to have to do this one by one. I didn't really want to do it one by one. It's number 2, and we're just going to drag that one across. Let's get a little bit closer so we can see what's going on. Okay, that's fine. And then we want the number 3. We want to move that to there. There is something strange going on here, and I don't know what it is. They're not moving along the right axis completely. You can see, no, unless it's offset them slightly, there's something weird going on here. Unless it's just my eyesight. Let's bring this scroll right down. That's really, really odd. Let's have a look from the left. I can't zoom in anymore. Can I do it with control? Is it control alt? No, I can't zoom in anymore. Something strange going on there. Really is. So number 4, bring that one down. Number 7, we bring you down. Number 8, we'll bring you across and down. No, we will line these up a bit to be fair. It doesn't have to be too amazingly accurate. Number 5 is across and down, and number 6 is across and down. Number 9, bring you across and down. You don't have to be massively accurate as long as you can access the let's see this from the side. They're all like really weird. It's really strange, that is, isn't it? I'm not actually understanding why that's doing that, but there we go. Then we want number 10, which I'm going to use as 0. And is that rotated? Did I accidentally rotate the keypad numpad? No, it's perfectly straight. So I'm not sure what's going on there, why they're all moving outwards. Matters not. So number 11 will be the star, and number 12 will be the hash. So let's bring you up. Like I said, it doesn't have to be too accurate, this doesn't. So let's figure out what's going on here. The ones in the middle seem to have come out further. So let's find out what depth that's. Let's set the depth of number 1, and let's take her back probably to about there. Yep. I'm hoping that's just high enough to ignore the collisions. You have to excuse this scrolling around too much. It's a bit difficult. Okay. Right, so what is the depth on that, which is Z, which is -1 point. Alright, so just copy that and let's paste that into, let's see if we can do it on all of them without it causing an issue. We'll try this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. It's not. Yeah. It's not doing what it's supposed to do, is it? They're going to have to do it manually. I think because we've rotated it round, it's not now using the world coordinates for some reason. It's using relative, which is really strange. So let's set this to world. No, it is using relative. Okay, there's something really strange going on there. See how these are all in different positions? Okay, let's just do these individually then. So number 2, and set, see, it's going back there. Undo that. Let's click number 2 again, and let's see which value I'm actually changing. This is really strange. So number 2, let's set you back. Yeah, I'm modifying the, yeah, I'm modifying the X on here, but it's actually the Y. I don't know if that's an issue with me or whether it's meant to do this. So let's get to the value of this one. Again, can't really click it there, it's very hard to reach. We'll take this value and then we'll select them all, and then we'll change this value. Way. As you can see, some of them are a little higgledy-piggledy, so we now want to set. None of these seem to be in line at all. It's really odd. Oh, this is a really strange one on me. Right, so bring you more center, and let's set the Z on this. The Z should be the same. So 2 and 3 will set the Z correctly, and we'll set the Y correctly again, because for some reason they say in the different values. And then 2 and 3, and let's set them. There we go. It's still saying multiple values. There we go. Now we have those all in line, we can now do the same downwards. So 1, we want to set both the X and the Y, so this doesn't really matter too much as long as we copy the same values. No, we've already done the 1 value, we've done the Y, haven't we? So let's do the X, Control and C, and we want 4, 7, and I'm going to have this one as 11. So we've got 4, 7, I'm using Control to click on those, 11. There we go, they're all in line. Now we've done that, we could do the same with the second row. So num2, we want to copy that value in the X, and we want to do Control kick on 10, which is our 0, and 5 and 8, and again paste those into there. Perfect. And do the same with the 3, and then all we've got left to do then is the Z values on these other rows. We've done the top row, but we need to do on all these as well. So number 3, we Control C, and we're doing Control 6, control 9, and it was control 12. Yep, and we'll paste all those in. There we go. And now we've just got to set the Z axis. We've done that one. Z axis, not access. So number 4, we will copy, and we're going to paste this into 5 and 6. 5, 6, and they'll get the Z. There we go. They're all in line. I know it's a bit tedious this, but I'd like to try and keep it at least a little bit aligned as best as possible. So the Z axis on 7, control 8, control 9, and control V to paste in, and then the same on this one, the star, which is 11, and we'll get the Z off that one, control C, and we want to do the 10 and the 12, just the Z, control V. There we go. So now if I select all of them, they should all have the same Y, which they do, and then the individual rows will have those. Now this is where we need to test out that this works. So I'm just going to start with the number 1 to start with, and we're going to go here, search for tag, add a new one, and if I remember right, was it interactables? Interactable. I think that's how I spelled it, with a capital I, and compile and save. And let's bring that down, and let's drag our new object into the world. So our interactable doors keypad. Okay, that's in the world, and we need to rotate that around its Y. Yeah, 90. Okay, now this is pretty small. We might scale this up. Let's run this and see if it's too small. We might not be able to. Yeah, I don't think we're going to do much with that. I think it's a little bit too small. So we want to scale that up. Probably should have done it in the original object now, but now I've set it all up. Well, it's something maybe we could have done earlier on, later on. Let's just bring that out just in case it's too embedded. And we'll see. Yeah, even up close. Let me just check also that I use the right tag. On the toggle, I'm going to tags, interactable. Yeah, it is the right tag. That's fine. Just wanted to make sure. It's been a couple of weeks since we did this. So interactable, correct. So there might not be in the right depth. So we're going to come down here, and we're going to delete tags, add tags, interactable. If you do it with them all selected, they all get the same tag. But now I also need to clear that, and we need to bring this up forward a little bit. So yeah, look at that. That is an unbelievable thing. Look at that. That's really strange. So I want to bring that out to maybe 2. Yeah, that's not too bad. And that should now be able to say but I'm not getting a hit. Why am I not getting a hit? I can see them on there. Yeah, I can see them on there, but why am I not getting a hit? Okay, silly me. Sorry, I jumped out there for a second. I was going crazy, and I just realised that there was something I completely missed. So if you, I keep forgetting that collision boxes inside act as default to they default to overlap only. So select all of your numbers, come across to your collision settings here, and change the collision settings from overlap all to block all. There we go. Sending me crazy. That was a simple little thing I totally forgot. So there we go. Let's say that. So if I come out now and I run this, we should. I've actually set a little test trace thing in, which is what I was using just to make sure it's working. As you can see, it's telling me what I'm hitting, and there, num1, num2, num3, num6, num10. Yeah, brilliant. It works. You won't have that. Ignore that. So I'll show you how to check all this in a minute. I'm just going to get rid of that. I'll put it in my trace. I just added in a print string here. I'm going to get rid of that because I don't want it anymore. But this is where it brings up a slight flaw. Ignore that. That's how yours would have been. I've not changed it again yet. It's now going to bring up a slight flaw in our system that we're using. Nothing not fixable, but I'll show you what I mean. So if I come along here and I come here, it's going to have an interact, and it's going to only interact with the object. Even though we've got all these different numbers, the object doesn't know which one we're clicking. So we've got to add something in to our code to help with that issue, or fix that issue. And it won't break anything else while it does it. It's just another one of those things of, if we need to use it, use it. If not, we don't care. And we'll show you how that's done. So if you go to your BP trace, interact trace here, we need to store not only the interact target, we also need to store the hit component. So there's several ways we could do this. We could actually get it to get a certain tag, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take the hit component's name for the time being. So we need to add a new variable in here. So if we click on this, and we're going to type in interact component, and we're going to set this to type component, and it will be actor component, so probably near the top. Actually, they just type actor. Oh, how many is this? Actor component. There we go. And object reference. There we go. Where did that go? Okay, it's disappeared from here and it's put it into somewhere else. Where'd it go? Where has that gone? Is it gone into components? Yeah. Why it does that, I don't know, because it's actually more of a variable than it is a component, but it matters not. We'll leave it there. So we've got an interact component, and we're going to set that if we have this tag here. So let's just bring this across. Are we setting it here? Or are we setting it somewhere? We're setting it in our return node. Yeah, let's not put it in here and mess this up too much. What we'll do is click on our return node, and we'll come across over here and we'll click add, and we'll say hit component, and it's going to be of type component, which should be, again, that's type actor component because it works better. Component, actor component, object reference. There we go. And all we need to do is this one here where we're checking its tag, which we know it's interactable. We're going to bring this out and attach that just into the top one. We don't need it in the bottom one, remember, because that's to return something if we're clearing it. So let's just tidy this up, bring that to there. Okay, so now we're grabbing that in our interactable function. So this is inside. If you put it in inside a function like I did, this was get traced by channel. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned that when we came into it, because I had it already open. So when you come into your BP interact trace, you'll come to your hit trace here, which is what I've done. You may have it still in here, but if not, I put it in a function. The best way to do it, double click there, return node, add the hit component, connect the hit component only into the top one, not the bottom return node, leave that one as it is, and then save and compile that, and then we'll go back to the event graph. Okay, we now have the hit component there. We need to not set this unless this comes true. This is to check to see if it has the interface, because if it doesn't, we don't want to know. So it's another additional check. So what we're going to do is zoom out a little. We've got quite a lot of stuff here. We need to select all of this and then control click that one so you don't get it. This is just a quick way of doing it. So select it all with the bounding box, hold control and click that one to unselect it, because I don't want to move that. Drag this across there, and what we want to do is drag our interact component here, which just come under components, and drop that in to there, and it will automatically give you another set. Now, to avoid this being a little messy, I'm going to drop that down a little bit so we can see it. And we need to come over here and get this hit component, drag it across and set it there. You can tidy it up like I'm doing now if you wish. I'm just doing this just to make it look a little bit tidy for myself. There we go. So we've now set that interact component, and we can just test that now. So we compile and save, come back into our game. We need to run the game and then come to, oh, I need to get rid of those flaws. We need to come to our first person. Where's our first person? Where's our first person character? Where is it? There it is, first person character. And we need to find the interact trace, and there we go, interact component, so that we can now see as we come along what we're interacting with. And our interact target is BP doorpad, and our interact component is num3, and then num2, and num1, num4, num8, num5, num6, num12, and so on. You can see it changes. If I shift F1, you can see here I'm aiming at num10. Okay, we now know what we're aiming at, so now we have multiple taggings. But how do we change this, and how do we tell this what we're doing? So we need to now send that information when through our interactable interface. That's the one I want, interface. So we need to come back to our interface, and it's BPI interact. So we've got get interact text and we've got FN interact. What we need to do now is add a new input to this FN interact, and not just send the player character. We also want to send the component. So we click here, and we're going to call this target component, and this is going to be of type, and type it properly this time, actor component object reference. Okay, and compile and save. That's now made it available to anything that's interactable. So that means now our keypad will be able to interact with this. So how are we going to get, oh, we also need to modify this one here, the get interact text as well, because we also need to tell this that something's different. So we're going to add that in there as well. So we're going to add target component. Right, and we'll save that in. Done. Okay, that's all we need to do into interact. So both of them, both the FN interact and the get interact text, we're sending through the component. Now the reason we're doing that here is because we also need to be able to change the text, the interact text, based on each individual target. So how are we going to do that? What's the best way of doing this? Ideally we could put a tag in each of these. And I wonder if there's a good way of doing this, because they all now have the same tag in there. We can also add an index 1, and as long as index 1 is always the same, then we can add our text in there. Let's try this. There is going to be a rule here. If you're going to do it this way that I'm going to show you, you must stick to the rule and not change. It must have it always in index 1. So we click the plus, and no, we'll just have 1 on that, and then this one is going to be 0. This one is going to be star. They must always be in index 1, and the reason for that is this is where we're going to hard code it to look. So 12 is hash, and number 2 is 2, number 3 is 3, and so on. Do that for all of these. Might not be the best way of doing it. There is probably plenty of ways we could do this. We could hard code it, but the problem with hard coding is if you want to change something, you've got to go through and change all the hard code. So rather than do that, I'm putting it in as a tag. Might not be the most efficient, but there we go. Number 8. Oh, the num not turned off. Sorry, 8. And number 9. I must have mispressed the key. Number 9. Okay, they've all got now their own tag in index 1. Index 1 is important. Right, so now we have interfaces. We've got get interact text. So on this object it's going to be a little different. We're not going to set the interactive text using the parent. We're going to set it using this. So we've got our target component. So we want to get no, we don't want not do that. Let's try again. We want to get component tags, right? And we have an array there, and we need to, I think it's just get a copy of index 1. Okay, so that will get whatever's in index 1. Okay, not 0, not 2 or anything like that. You'll get index 1. So we need to do our append string. There we go. And in here we're going to put press and a space. Make sure you put the space, otherwise it'll be all bunched up. And then that's into there. It will give you a connector for it. We'll move all this over nice and tidy in a minute, and then we want to add another pin, and then put in C, put space on keypad. Okay, and then that there will be our interact text. Just tidy that up a little bit more. Let's see if that works now. Oh, target component, what's wrong here? Which is declared in a parent with a different signature. Get interact text. Okay, into the parent. Okay, we may have to modify the parent to get target fn interact. Target component is there. Okay, that doesn't look wrong, does it? It looks okay. Send it through wrong place. Can I override get interested, which is declared in the parent with? Okay, what we're going to do then is right click and call to parent function. Okay, and then bring it out. Maybe that will do it. Just no. Can I override BPIC interact text, which was declared in a parent with a different signature? So why is this different? FN interact. It looks fine to me. Is it because we're not sending? That's BP controls target. That looks remarkably fine to me. Interfaces. Is it because it's not outputting at the other end? I don't know, but it's got the same, exactly the same that's odd. Let's go into our interact. Okay, so I had to change this slightly. It's a bit of a strange one. I have to pass the interact text out, or the component out of the actual interface. Normally it would do that, but because I don't do it here. But never mind. So get interact text is here. What I've done is on the return, the outputs, I've put out target component, and it's of type actor component, like we've been using already. So it's just a duplicate of that. But you have to call it out because you can't use the same name. So you can call it whatever you like as long as you know what it is. But I've called it out target component, and just save that. Then come into your BP interact actor, and then drag the target component into the out target component so it passes it through. Okay, and then back to our door. We've done a call to parent, so you right click on here, add call to parent, add that in, and I've come off the component target here and in there, and I've come out of it in there. Okay, so now that should set that, but see, we don't actually need it here, which is I don't know why. Let's just happen if we don't actually pass that to it. Will that give me a problem? No. So it's very, very strange I've had to do that because we don't need it in here. Matters not. It's working now. So compile and save that. Right, so we set our interact text to press whatever key on the pad. Hopefully. Let's see if this actually works now after that bit of a rigmarole messing about. So if we come along and we go press none on keyboard, press none on keyboard, press none on keyboard, and press none on keyboard, press none on keyboard. Right, okay, so it's not actually finding the correct tag. Let's have a look at what the problem is. Accessed none, trying to read real property function. Right, out target component is not a U class. Getting right, okay, so it's not detecting the component. Let's do a little bit of debugging then. So we've got our components here. I wonder if it's getting lost in interaction. Let's just check. We're passing it out. It's coming in. It's passing it out. We need to just, we've set the value. We know we've set the value. We've seen it in the runtime. It's got it there. So we need to come into our interact trace. And yes, I've set it here. But what I didn't do is pass it through. So now it should not be none. Oh, I did prepare this in my head, this episode, but I didn't actually prepare too much of it. Get there eventually, we will. And there we go. Press 0, press 8, press 5, press 1. Yep. Okay, so that there allows us now to interact with individual. Let's see if this lets me rename these. Let's try it. Because we're using this dynamic, just change that to a 0, and we want to change that one. Let me see if it lets me put an asterisk. It probably won't. Let me start. Oh, it has. Okay. Hash. Okay, makes more sense. Compile and save. So yeah, we're now able to get an interact back off. Or interaction text back off the trace. What we need to do next is we need to be able to actually interact with that, and because we're not actually doing anything yet in this, we can do that straight in FN Interact here. And I'll do that in the next episode, which should follow this closely behind. This is getting a bit long, this one. So we've kind of segmented it up. We've got our return text to say what we're doing. We now need to interact with the object. So we'll do that in the next episode, and it should be up pretty much around the same time as this one, so you should be able to jump straight into it. Hope that wasn't too convoluted. Did go a little bit awkward there when I completely forgot to hook up the variable to our output for our interacts, but there we go. Mistakes happen. And hopefully I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.